What's up, nerds? Welcome to Chapter 4, Season 1, almost Season 2 of the Unvaulted Fortnite Podcast. I'm your host, Squatingdog, and taxes suck. That's the tweet. Anyways, we have the big brain keeping it here at Top5Gaming, Tommy, on the podcast. How we doing today, Tommy?
I'm excited. This is my first podcast I've been on ever, so I'm excited to talk finally. Maybe not in my YouTuber voice, I guess.
That's great. We for the very first time being on a podcast. How you feeling? Do we have any nerves? Do we have excitement? What are you feeling on the inside right now?
I want to talk, man. I'm going to be real. I've wanted to be on a podcast for a while, but I never really had the right opportunity and the timing of it. And then right before this new season, I the way that all this kind of panned out was hey, I'll hit up Jeremy and see if he'd want to just talk for a little bit. I'm sure there's a lot we could discuss. I mean, there is a lot we could discuss. There's so much about the new season. And I know you have some questions about Top5Gaming, what I do, maybe a little bit more about myself. I feel a lot of people just know me from the voice from Top5Gaming or the videos I record and stuff like that. But there's kind of a layer that I feel we could get into and maybe people want to hear about it,
Love it. Love it. Oh, yeah. And then there's PM. Hey, PM.
Hi, PM.
How's it going? glad to be here. Thank you for
how you doing, man?
Inviting me to my own pod. Thank you so much.
It's my favorite bit every time. All right, listeners, guess what? We are not done talking about stuff for season 2. There's more stuff. I know we had said in the last podcast, PM very, very eloquently said, hey, don't get at us if there's more stuff. There is more stuff to talk about. So there will be spoilers, but it'll be at the tail end after we're kind of done chatting about what Tommy's up to, who he is, and all those good things. So just as a heads up, that's coming, and you should be excited about it, but we will also let you know when it's spoiler time,
I know. We'll talk about all the Chapter 5 leaks, everything like that. Big. You want to stay around,
Yeah, Tommy, give us the hook, right? Give us the YouTube
the
hook
retention
for
tactic?
our listeners right now.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Watch until the end for a huge surprise. That's all I got right now.
Huge surprise. Okay. Both me and VM are I hope we have one.
We will. You could just do
Chapter
what me and
leaks.
Jeremy did last episode and chat GPT 10 YouTube titles. And we're oh, cool, this one works. Top 10 leaks exposed. And we're yeah, this is great. Perfect.
That sounds like something that'd be on my channel.
AI fixes everything.
AI does fix everything. We've done a lot with AI, but no one cares to listen about that. So let's move past it.
All right, so let's dive in. I've known you for a while, Tommy. We have been, holding the pulse of what's going on in the story. We've met in real life at a few events. Couldn't speak higher about you. I think if you're listening to this podcast and you don't know who this wonderful person is, Top5Gaming is the umbrella. Tommy's holding the stem of it, and he is incredible at what he does, and he's been doing this for a little while. And I wanted to hear a little bit from you, Tommy, for those that might not know who you are, and if you don't, it's a shame, but tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into content creation specifically.
Well, hi, I'm Tommy. I am the host of Top5Gaming. We also run another channel called T5G. Before that, I used to own a channel called Top5 Central. Used to is kind of a vague term because it's I technically still do own the channel, but I'm a content creator who likes to follow his passions. I don't like to make videos that I'm not interested in. And so Top5 Central was kind of a learning experience for me into making videos that I was really happy with at the time. To my core, dude, I love video games. I need an excuse to play video games for a living. And so I was how can I take my, YouTube knowledge and apply it to something that I love to do every day? And thus Top5Gaming was born. But even before that, I was a gaming creator when I was 12 years old. Actually, this is how the origin story goes. When I was 12 years old, I had an older brother, and we were very, very close, so similar. And one summer, he ended up discovering a guy named Hutch. And through that, he found another guy named the Syndicate Project. This is like 2012 YouTube. This is like the birth of like gaming content on YouTube. Before you would see like Ray William Johnson or Smosh or something like that. But Hutch and Syndicate, those were like the biggest guys, and he was just obsessed with them. And so, you know, he tried kind of doing like the gaming personality videos and stuff like that. But eventually he started watching these guys who would post like tutorials online of like Black Ops zombie glitches. Like, you know, if you ever like seen any of those like pile up glitches is what they would call them, or literally anything like that, like he would find a way to do it, and then he would commentate a tutorial and, hey, here's what you got to do. You got to go to this spot and you got to jump on this and you got to spam this button or whatever. And it started gaining traction. It's like, you know, going from like 1 or 2 views a video to getting like 100 or 1,000 is like, that first step is so monumental, because when you realize that you're not just making videos for yourself, but other people, like the entire like rewiring of your brain changes. You know what I mean? And so he just kept doing it over and over. And I remember this because every night he would be up to like 2 o'clock in the morning or like 3 o'clock in the morning. And he had these big bright monitors. We like shared a bedroom at the time. And I remember just seeing, I used to get so mad because it'd be like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm trying to sleep. And he was the guy who had that big bright monitor. And you're like, dude, like I can't sleep. We would get into fights constantly over it. And so he kept going and doing it for probably a good year straight until one summer he ended up getting a partnership with an old company called Machinima. And so he was like 14 at the time, and they're like, hey, we will put ads on your videos and we'll take a cut of it, and you could get paid from making these videos that you're doing. He's like, really? He's like, I've been doing this whole time for free, and you're telling me I'll get paid for it? So that summer he managed to make like a little bit of money, and he bought a gaming PC with it. Like my mom had to go like 50-50 with it, because like back then, like you didn't make a lot of money on YouTube or anything, you know? And so he got this gaming computer, and I remember like Minecraft was like getting there in terms of like on the PC. Like it had been out for a little bit, but like that's when like Hunger Games was popping. It was like had to be my freshman year of high school now. And I just remember being like, dude, you could make money playing video games. And it was like that. Like I was like, I am obsessed. Like I'm a very like talkative person. I love to teach. It's like one of my favorite things in the world is to be the first to show someone and get their reaction, or like something like make something click in someone else's brain. They're like, oh my God, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. I live for those like interactions and stuff. And so I was like, yo, like this is my kind of thing too. And so I was always very like I looked up to my older brother, like he was like my idol. He was, and to this day, he still is like a mentor to me, and we're still very close. But I was like, great, like the new Black Ops 2 is coming out. There's a new map called Transit, and I would love to dip my toe in. And so I created a channel. It was called Novera HD. And I remember I started out, I was like, how to get max rank on zombies. And from there, I would start doing all these different types of tutorials. A new map would come out. I'd be trying to show like secrets or tips or glitches, literally anything that I felt like people would want to consume, because like that was like the coolest thing in the world. Was like I said, showing something to somebody and then being like, wow, like I didn't know this, and like my games change, or I get to enjoy so much like this experience with my friends because of that. And so I did that for a really long time. GTA 5 came out. I did the same thing. Went on GTA 5, money glitches, or, hey, here's Easter eggs in the game. You could come here and find this. Here's, like theories about the jetpack coming out or the heist DLC and stuff. Anything that like I felt like was kind of like a talking point. I just wanted to kind of contribute and be a part of a community, Growing up, especially going into high school, I went to a high school that was like 30 minutes away from my hometown. So I had to leave all my hometown friends who went to the traditional high school. And I went to a trade school, believe it or not. And my dad was a plumber. He owned a plumbing company, and he was like, listen, I know you love the internet and all that type of stuff, and you're a smart kid, and I'm sure you're going to succeed in business. But you need to have a fallback. You need to learn trades. And so I went 4 years for plumbing. I literally have like a license in my home state. And while I don't really remember all that much, just don't tell my teachers about that. That whole time, it definitely teaches you the value of a dollar, having realistic goals. I see a lot of people who, want to be gaming creators. They want to kind of join the space, and it's great and all. But I feel like fundamentally, a lot of people lack the ambition to kind of like realize their goals. Like, is it an excuse to play video games, or do you want to do something bigger with your life? And you have to make that decision early on. Like, do you want to be making content for other people or yourself? And I don't think that there's anything wrong with wanting to make videos that genuinely you just enjoy making, 100%. Or if you want to, like I said, cater your videos so other people can enjoy them, and that's where you get your satisfaction. Great. There's so many different ways to be entertaining online, and to develop an audience. And I think that, like I said, like so many people on YouTube, especially, they think that there's like a one lane type of thing. This is how you blow up on YouTube, and you could only do this. And every year that next guy blows up and he did something entirely different, So I think, so eventually it was my senior year of high school. I was, like I said, doing the whole plumbing stuff, and I hated it. I'm not a very technical person with my hands, like we were in there swapping out water heaters, literally installing, like, this is like weird to admit, but like black malleable, like we'd be like piping boilers and stuff like that. And I'm like a gaming nerd. I'm antisocial. I didn't really have that many friends. So I would come home and I didn't really hang out with my hometown friends when I was in high school because I just didn't go to the same school. So I was like the total outcast. And my older brother, he got the same treatment as well. He also had to go to school. So he was 1 year ahead of me. So he's 1 year older than me. And so we were kind of both in the same boat together. And when he started gaining traction, and I started gaining traction, we were like, we're all in. Like, I have no friends. I have no obligations. I have no responsibilities outside of school, obviously. And either we make it on YouTube or we are plumbing for the rest of our life, which, no hate on plumbers. They make bank. And I have a huge respect for the trades, obviously, after doing it for years. And, I work for my dad's company, so I was under there. But if you go ask any tradesman, 9 out of 10 of them are going to tell you that it's grueling work, terrible for your knees or your back. It's a very, it's a tough job, and they deserve really all the credit for everything because, like I said, it's difficult, and I really understand that. But I understood that at the time, and it was like, I don't want to be doing that for the rest of my life. I would hate myself if I had to wake up every day at 7:00. Then I would work until, lunch, and then I would get out at 4:00. And by then I was just exhausted. But that's how I initially was making money with my dad. I was making $7.25 an hour. And that's how I would afford stuff outside of YouTube. And when I was like, I was making like literally like $60 a month from YouTube, putting in like probably a good like 100 or 200 hours. Like, literally, it was insane. I was trying to work for my dad, go to school. I live far away from my school, so I'd have to wake up at like 6:00 in the morning. I'd get home around like 3:00. At 3:00, I'd probably like grind YouTube, or I'd have to go work with my dad or something like that. And so eventually I got to my senior year of high school. And like I said, I just came to that conclusion. Like, this is it. Like, if I don't figure out YouTube, like, I was enrolled in college. I was supposed to go to college right out of high school. And so at the time, I remember I was talking to one of my friends, and if you were a part of like the Call of Duty Zombies community, that's like what we were like. Those are like the people that I knew. That's the people I associated with. There was always one type of video series that did really, really well. It was top fives, right? Everyone wanted to know the top 5 wonder weapons or the wall guns and stuff like that. And tons of people got lots of views on it. And I remember seeing that. I was like, man, like, that's like the easiest way to have like entertaining content. And it's such like a teaching type of manner. And like, that's just like, that's what I love, So I kind of went from like this tutorial based side of things where I was teaching people how to do things, where I kind of wanted to do something different, where I wanted to take the idea of like a listicle content, right? Like, you think listicle, you think like Watch Mojo or something like that. But I wanted to do something different where I really kind of focused in on stories, and told it in a way that was from someone from the community, not the corporation, right? So Watch Mojo, they would always come out with these videos and they would get roasted. Like, it was bad because like they always had the worst opinions, the worst takes, everything like that. Like, it was engineered to be a money grab. That's what it is. They're a business. No hate, no disrespect to Watch Mojo. They have great people work there. I've never really met anyone, to be honest with you, but I'm sure like they're great people, but that's how their business is engineered. And it's important to kind of say that because that was the click in my brain that I was like, what if an actual YouTuber from the community that understands the opinions and the way that the players are feeling, what if they did something like this, but changed it in a different way? And so that's how my old channel, Top 5 Central, was born. And so I started out just doing Call of Duty Zombies top 5s, and I was making everything. And it was crazy to me because I had never had a video get over a couple 100,000 views on my tutorial channel. I was a very small creator. I did have like 50,000 subscribers at the time, which back in like 2016 or sorry, even before that, 2015, it was a big channel. But I didn't have active subscribers. I was lucky if I was going to get 1,000 or 2,000 views a video. If something got like 5,000 views, it was like, that's insane. And so I did that for maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 years before I was even semi-successful. Top 5 Central, I came in with a strategy. I was like, this is it. I am all in. If this does not succeed, I will be a plumber for the rest of my life. And I wasn't going to accept that. I wasn't ready to seal that fate in. And like I said, if trade school taught me anything, it's like, I've seen where this life goes. I've seen how hard this life can be. And if I could take 6 months of my life and truly dedicate it to an objective of building Top 5 Central to what I wanted it to be, I would not have to succumb to that life. And it was like all signs pointing towards that. So every day I would wake up at 6 o'clock. I would go to school during like homeroom, during I've been out of school for a little bit now. I'm thinking of like what's like the one period that's like your own or whatever. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
I didn't even have that.
This is really revealing all of our age, by the way. We probably have so many viewers who are like,
I didn't even have that.
No, I think. Can you rephrase the question?
Like it's like a little. It's like one break, like during a period. It doesn't matter. The viewers will know what we're talking about. During that one time, though, study hall. Oh my gosh! Like I said, I'm not that old. I promise. I'm only 24.
There you go.
Study hall. During my study halls, I would literally go in there. And where everyone else is working on homework or watching Netflix or doing whatever, I'd be writing scripts for my videos. And so I would write my scripts during study hall, and I would come home, and I'd get home around 3 o'clock. I would like speed home because I was like, I need to get a video up that day. So I would get home at 3 o'clock. The first thing I do, I'm going right upstairs to my room, turning the mic on, turning the computer on, rip that commentary. Boom, done. I would edit it up. Then I would go throw it in a timeline, do whatever I can. 5 o'clock, I'm hitting that upload 100%. Sometimes it gets pushed like 6 or 7, depending on, what it takes or whatever. But it was like literally like, that's like my whole thought process. And then by like 7 o'clock, when I'm done with that videos, like I would start on the next video and I start planning out schedules, or I start researching or just studying whatever I could to become an expert at it. And so I'd stay up till probably 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'd get my 3 or 4 hours of sleep. And I would do that every single day until Saturday would come around, and I'd probably have like 20 hours of sleep for the whole week. And I would just like, that'd be my one day that I slept in, because I would still follow my upload schedule. As long as I was up by 2 o'clock, I still had enough time. And it was probably the hardest time in my life because YouTube was not what it is today. It was a really hard time for me because my parents were, I don't want to say haters, right? But good parents are like, dude, like you got to be realistic with your life. Like playing video games and posting on the internet, like that's not a thing. In 2016, it was not a thing. There was you would find the occasional creator. I want to say prior to this, like more like 2015, 2016 was when things kind of started going, like that was like when Jake Paul came on and all that type of stuff. But before that though, you would not see people being wealthy and being a YouTuber and think that goes together. Like if you were a YouTuber, you were a very humble individual. It was not cool to brag about money or anything like that. So it's very discreet. If you're a YouTuber, especially like PewDiePie, you would never talk about money because people call you greedy or you're doing it for the money or whatever. Fans were very vicious back then. Now it's like so cool at the flex or whatever. I think it's lame, but you see all these types of influencers and stuff like that. Oh, I got more money. And it was kind of like, you never really wanted to do that back in the day because you wanted to remain humble. Like, hey, like I post gaming videos. Like that's all I care about is making content for the fans, not how much money I'm putting in my pocket or whatever. So Top 5 Central blew up instantly. Like I came in there with a strategy. I spent every single day I could, and I started gaining a little bit of traction. It was 2 months before I graduated, and I actually got declined for my first college that I wanted to go to. It wasn't even like Harvard or anything stupid like that. It was like my state college, and they declined me. I didn't have the best of grades. To be honest with you, I never cared about school. I considered myself like someone who could eat like I could get really, really good grades if I wanted to, but in the back of my brain when I was a kid, I was just like such like an opportunity cost type thing. If I wanted to really get good grades in school and have the best stuff, it would take away from YouTube. And as a kid, I was like I said, I was all in. Like I could care less if I went to a worse college because I was like, doesn't matter. I'm doing YouTube. Doesn't matter. So I did get accepted to my second college. I was going to go for business, and I love business. Like I was like the type of kid, like 14 years old. I had like my parent gave me a custodial brokerage account, and I was like trading stocks and stuff. Like I love to learn, and that was just like the type of kid that I was, right? And so I guess basically the way that things kind of turned out was Top 5 Central did really well initially, and I graduated high school. And I was going to go to college, and I think it was like June, right? So it was like those final like 2 weeks or whatever. At least where I'm from up north, we kind of go into June. I know like some states, they kind of end school early in May and then they go back in August. But where I'm from, you would kind of end like middle of June and then you go back right after Labor Day, right?
Yeah, we were the same.
And so the way that it kind of turned out was that summer, Pokemon Go released. And I was making top fives about like zombies content. And I was doing really, really well. Like I was actually getting like a couple 100,000 views a video, which at this time was it like mind blowing to me. And I just like, I went through years of like people making fun of me being like, oh, you have a dead channel. You'll never be successful. Your content sucks. And I really internalized all that hate. And instead of kind of giving it back to them, which sometimes I did, and I really regret all of those instances. But I guess when you're, 16, 17,
Right.
it's easy to kind of get caught up in those status games or anything like that. But I really did internalize that hate, and I really tried not to spew it back out, but instead use it as fuel, right? So every day I was feeling lazy. Any day I was feeling demotivated and stuff like that. I'd search within myself, and I'd be like, are you going to let everyone prove you wrong? That was my whole mentality. Are you going to let every single person are looking right now and you're doing well, better than a lot of the people who are making fun of you 2 months ago, but every single person there is waiting. Like they are just refreshing your channel for that video for you to fall off, for you to blow all your money and to kind of join that massive list of YouTubers that did really well and then fell off just as well,
Right.
And I was so conscious of that I would like every waking day I'd talk to other YouTubers. I get in calls. I had a friend group when I was like 17, 18. And like I said, YouTube started getting a little popular. That's kind of like I said, when the whole Jake Paul, Logan Paul era kind of started on YouTube. And that's when, people were flexing their money and their cars. And everyone's like, I saw like an article somewhere. It said that, astronauts used to be the most wanted jobs in the world, but like recently it's now like YouTubers, right? And that's when that social shift kind of happened. And I really noticed it was, like, especially on your phone, like you didn't like, especially back in the day, like you had to connect to Wi-Fi. You didn't have like LTE or anything like that. So you couldn't watch YouTube wherever you wanted. It was super inconvenient. So typically you were making content for a desktop like viewer, like on a PC or something like that. You didn't have smart TVs that had the YouTube app built on it. You didn't have, anything like that. And so yeah, YouTube blew up and we all were like studying. We were just obsessed with it because we all wanted to be the best that we possibly could. And we were, all of us were so competitive. We all wanted to be the biggest. We all wanted to learn the most, be the most educated, be, as any YouTuber will say, we want to be hitting the most bangers. And like, it sounds weird to say out loud, but if you're a YouTuber, you will relate to that. Like, you want to be performing the best. You want, and that was the mentality. So we would study every video on the platform. We would study old styles of television. We come up with thousands of ideas, put them on a Google document for our channels and stuff like that. How could we, take this, interpret it like this, change it to this idea, transform this? And we would do that. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, we'd wake up, and if we weren't making videos, we were talking about videos. And the people that we were talking to at that time, like, they realized just as much as we did the potential of YouTube, and some of those creators are the biggest today, to be totally real. That's how obsessed we were with YouTube and starting new channels and stuff. To my core, I'm a gamer, but at the same time, I'm a creator. And I think I really juggle between those a lot. I'm not the best at Fortnite, but I love making videos about the game because I love the community. I love interacting with the people in the community. I love the style of content and the stories that I could tell. It's what wakes me up every single day wanting to do this, Yeah. Some days I'm not even happy with the game, but I'm still like, I'm passionate about it to make a video. I hate this, and here I am talking about it, And that's what the creator brain will do to you,
Yeah. What's interesting about your story, and I feel like there's so many people that we've had on the podcast that have that drive, that inner fire of like, I want my craft to be the best it can be, right? Like, whatever that craft is, whatever that mantle is, whether it's being a Twitch streamer, YouTuber, whatever. Like, I feel like there's that similarity of like, how can we make everything better than the last thing that we created? Like, how do we keep growing? And so I'm curious for you, why Fortnite? Because I feel like Fortnite became the catalyst for a lot of content creators to grow exponentially. And obviously a lot of people played the game, all that type of stuff. But for you, I'm curious, what is the lure? You just talked about it right now, right? Like, I hate the game, but I'm talking about it. What makes Fortnite that for content creators, for YouTubers, for streamers? What is the special ingredient that Fortnite brings for all of us to kind of go crazy inside?
It's funny because we're about to jump back to the story that I was just telling, but it's like the next piece of it.
The next arc.
So Top 5 Central did really, really well. I managed to go from like zombies content. We did really well in Pokemon Go. And then I managed to pivot the channel entirely to all, like, anything that could be in a format. I would try to find the coolest stories and tell them like that, because the way that like YouTube's algorithm was working at the time was, you couldn't talk about the same thing. Like one video that got like 60 million views on Top 5 Central is all about water slides, but you couldn't talk about one water slide for a long enough time for YouTube to say, wow, people were really interested in this content. So like the whole top 10 thing was like the easiest way to compile a bunch of really interesting stories. And you would click on the video being like, okay, this is why I'm clicking on the video. And the whole time I'm going to serve you content that's related to why you clicked. Right. And so when I remember, like, this was crazy. So PUBG drops like March of 2017. It was, I was big into Battle Royale. Even before PUBG, I was playing H1Z1. I loved H1Z1 Survival. And then they dropped their Battle Royale. I put thousands of hours in that game. Loved it. PUBG drops. Me and my best friend Declan, we played it like literally every single day. And then Fortnite drops. And I write it off immediately. I'm like, that's a kid's game. I'm not interested, whatever else. This was Save the World. All my friends are playing it. Even my older brother, Chucky, ironically, he knows what's like what has the potential. And he was just that type of kid who always, like I said, he was the first to it. He'd identify the trend, and he'd be doing it before it was cool to begin with. And so I wrote it off. I was like, yeah, I'm into PUBG. Like, that's the game that I like. I can't get into the whole build stuff, right? And eventually, I think like 3 months pass, and he convinces me to download it. Because like he got all my friends to play it, and you never want to be the kid in the friend group where like when all your homies go and download a game, you gotta join them. Like, even if it's like the game you don't want to play, you're like, I'm gonna join, whatever, because I'm just trying to play with the boys,
Right.
And download it, hooked. Like, it was like insane. And this is when like some of the biggest streamers really started giving it attention. Like before Ninja was even big, like having Myth on there, Summit was playing it, and I was like, okay, like I'll give it a go. If these guys are repping it, I'll give it a go. Instantly hooked. I was like, this is crazy. So I started playing that every day, and that became my new game. This is probably like a couple months into the cycle. And I think after 3 months, I was playing it every day, that I started getting lazy on Top 5 Central, which is like the epitome of like, you know, like everything that I had kind of worked for. And so I kind of came to this crossroads where I was like, I love gaming, and, you know, that's how I started this channel. How can I make my way back to it? And so I had a couple people working with me on Top 5 Central at the time. And we just basically were like, dude, why don't we just take Top 5 Central and we'll create a gaming channel called Top 5 Gaming? And that's how all of it came to be. So the way that we kind of looked at it at the time was like, this is like, we're going to be a brother sister channel. I had my friend Sam commentating on that channel. I was working on Top 5 Central at the time. And we were like we were a team. That's the way that like everything was created from day one. We were all working on videos together. For the most part, Sam had a big involvement in the sense of commentaries and recording. I would be the one kind of on the back end. Hey, let's come up with a video idea. Let's find what thumbnail we're doing. Let's do the research. What are we going to put on screen? Do I need to go record something? And after a while, I was just way more interested in kind of working on the gaming side of things than Top 5 Central. I just wasn't happy doing it. And I was losing that passion that, you know, like I said, that real, I really want to be doing this and be happy doing it and pursuing my passions. And so eventually I was just like, you know what, like Top 5 Gaming, like I'm really enjoying this. Like I want to stick to it, you know? And obviously at the time, this is when like Ninja was blowing up, like hitting crazy records.
Yeah.
And so every YouTuber will eventually kind of, you know, come across certain points in their life where a pivot is necessary. You will be making a style of content and you're kind of known for one thing. And that's what your audience expects from you. And so you're so like, I need to be doing this style of content, because if I try anything else, it's not going to do well. And my audience is going to roast me, or they're not going to love me anymore, or they're not going to be paying attention. But if you get yourself caught in that trap, you will never grow with your audience, or you'll never grow with the wider audience, you know? And so you'll always be known for that one thing. And I didn't want to be that guy. I didn't want to be known for one thing. And I was so confident in myself as a creator where, you know, like I said, like a lot of people who went in making Fortnite videos, like they didn't really have any experience. They never did anything else. And I did. I had this experience. I had this wider look on YouTube. And like I said, I had years of just like thousands and thousands of hours of studying this and trying that. So when Top 5 Gaming blew up, I was like, Top 5 Central's over. Like you know, we did try to come back and redo it again or whatever. It's so hard making content you're not passionate about, you know, and I'm a very consistent creator. I pride myself in that. I've made a video, or at least like 4 to 5 videos a week since I was 12 years old. I'm 24 now. So I've been 12 years into making content. And I've taken some breaks where I've taken, you know, months off or whatever, especially during those first 4 to 5 years. I was very inconsistent. You know, I'd post for 3 months straight, like literally daily uploads. And then I would just disappear for a month, you know.
But Tommy, what was the video?
It blew up. It was like probably the hardest one. I don't even want to talk about this, but I will, because it's a funny story, but it's kind of embarrassing. And looking back, I'm like, you know what?
That.
So, like I said, that summer I was doing really well on Top 5 Central, you know, averaging a little good amount of views or whatever. And then Pokemon Go released, and I was like, oh my God, like if I do the 10 rarest Pokemon in Pokemon Go, I guarantee that video will do well. And I love Pokemon Go. I was like, literally, like, I remember me and all my friends, like we would be the type of kids at like 3 o'clock in the morning running around all like the Pokestops, you know. I remember like one time, like a cop pulled up, was like, dude, like, are you doing drugs? I'm like, no, I'm hunting Pokemon. Like, you know what I mean? And, so I was like, I knew this video idea was going to do really, really well. And I was so excited to make it. So I go home, I record the video, and I was a big Pokemon fan. Like I played all the games, like Game Boy. I played it even on like my Nintendo DS, right? So I went all the way up to like Pearl and that type of stuff. But so I made this video and I was so tired because that night before I was up to like 3:00 in the morning at this, like with this one, like stop, like the Pokeball stop, or whatever. I forget what it's called. I haven't played Pokemon Go in a while, but I was at the stop and I was so tired. I come home to go record this video. It was, like I said, 10 rarest Pokemon. And right off the rip, like I said, I was tired. And, Gyarados, very popular Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Right in the intro, number 10, Gyarados. And that video, mega viral. It was like 3 million views in the first day. I've never seen anything like that before. And it's the one video that blows up is the worst mispronunciation I've ever done. And every person in the comments was not shy to let me know about my brutal error. To this day, my friends still make fun of me for it. Like, it's like a meme in my friend group that they're like, oh, like, where's Gyarados, Gyarados. It's tough. It's tough being a commentator because, when you have, 2,000 words in front of you or something like that, you're not going to know how every single one is pronounced, or maybe you're going so quick that it's like you say something and you listen back or whatever. It doesn't register until the video goes live and your whole audience is like, we're about to roast you, You don't know that? Are you for real? And you're making a video about it? And
you're a Pokemon fan?
I was at the time too. So that's why I was so disappointed in myself. I was like, man, this is tough.
This is my favorite Pokemon, and I say Diablo instead of what's the pronunciation?
Diablo.
Diablo. Yeah. I say Diablo.
Where did we discover that? Was that on?
It was like one of the podcasts. I think Paul ripped me apart for that. Yeah.
I had another embarrassing one too. It was Kangaskhan Khan. I said Kangaskhan.
Kangaskhan.
It was brutal.
You actually said one in a recent, like, not recent. It was like a year ago. I remember being like, bro, like, I DM'd you and was like, that is not how you pronounce something.
It's tough.
And you're like, hey, man, it's just kind of the way it goes sometimes. So
it is. Yeah. You don't recognize it in the moment. And like I said, it's just like, especially the worst part about it, right, is that most of my mispronunciations on the channels that I work on these days are on our Fortnite update videos. And context provided, you're waking up at 4:00, 5:00 in the morning. I typically I can't I have a pretty reasonable sleep schedule. I normally wake up around like 9:30, go to bed around midnight. So it's tough for me because I'll fall asleep at 12 and then I wake up at 4 and my whole brain's foggy and I'm tired, whatever. By the time that like I have my video ready to cover and stuff like that, I am just exhausted. So I'm like commentating, my throat's like all off and I'm like all phlegmy in the chest because I just woke up. And then it's like, all right, commentate 2,000 words. So you do the best that you can, but you're just so tired. Like, imagine just being so tired, like being woken up for a nap and then be like, hey, go do like a news thing,
Right.
Tough.
No, I'm with you there. I feel like I am very similar in the sense of like I screw up words all the time, even in talking to my wife. I'm like, she's like, do you even speak English? But we had a little snail on the podcast not too long ago, and she embraces it. So what she does is she does misinformation.
I've seen her do it. Yeah, it's become a bit of a trend. I've seen like Dagwummy, he like kills it with shorts. Really, really smart guy. And he was like, yeah, the Kamajamama is out and it's really good. Yeah. And like, I feel like everyone's doing it. It's the easiest way to get like free engagement because like all like the know-it-alls come out of the woodworks and they're like, are you kidding me?
I've been watching Dragon Ball Z since I was in the womb. And that is not how you pronounce Kamajamama.
Before I was born, I was watching Dragon Ball Z. This is like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. And it's like, guy, like it's a YouTube video. Calm down. Okay. Just take it at face value. Like, you don't like it, don't watch it. Simple as that. That's always my motto. Like, a lot of people don't like Top5Gaming. And we have our fair share of haters who have, sometimes very valid criticism.
Dude, and aren't you that clickbait channel? That's my favorite one.
Yeah. I feel like every YouTuber gets it at this point, but.
Oh yeah, totally.
But 100%, like you just got to take it on the chin. End of the day, all I do is just focus on making the best video possible. That's like just what my brain operates 24/7. And so like dealing with hate is kind of a tough subject for me. Cause I try not to just like even acknowledge it. But at the same time though, I'm a very like perfectionist type person. So I always find myself succumbing to reading it or trying to justify something or arguing a point, being like, no, like, I think your criticism sucks because, this.
Yeah.
But there's been times like I saw like this one kid very young, he made a video being like, "Oh, Top 5 Gaming sucks, and here's why." And he actually had a couple good points in his videos. And instead of like kind of roasting him or being like, "Oh, go send hate to this kid," I was like, "Dude, like fair points. Like, thanks for actually just saying this, because I'm gonna change it. Like, I'm gonna change it in future videos." And I did. And like I said, like, you really have to separate, haters from criticism. As a creator, I think that you should be influenced by outside people. But that's one of the toughest things about doing YouTube, and especially just having a presence with people online, is that there's gonna be people who, no matter what you do, they're never gonna be satisfied with it. And there's going to be people who are genuine fans of your content, but you did something that they don't like, and they're going to let you know. And it's really like this pendulum almost of like trying to find the balance of like, is this person just genuinely a hater and nothing I can do will make them happy? Or are they just a fan that was upset with something I did? And are they going to give me some great feedback on how I can improve my video in the future? Yeah. And I really try to take it from both perspectives.
Absolutely. That's huge. That's such a great, if you're listening, I hope that that's something you take away. It's such a big deal. I would say it's even more so hard for those that are doing things in live content. Like if you're live and you're getting hated on, you're live and somebody is saying something.
You can't hide your reaction. Yeah, it's tough.
Can't hide your reaction. You have to learn how to either just ignore or engage it intellectually. But like, man, it is emotionally such a hard thing to do.
Yeah, because you have to like fake that you didn't see it, or like even then, like if you address it, like, like there's nothing worse than like, I've streamed a couple times and I've gotten like literally like pooped on Fortnite, and chat would start roasting me, and I'm like, come on guys, like, you're really gonna kick me when I'm down? It's tough. Like, you could be like on tilt when you're gaming, and someone just says that one like off cuff comment that's like, bro, like, you really just had to go ruin my whole day. A lot of people, like I said, like they have parasocial relationships with creators and stuff like that, and I've had my fair share of people who kind of interact with me like they know me, and I'm like, I've never met you before in my entire life. And like I said, you just have to, it's part of the job. You just got to learn to deal with it. I'm grateful to have a good support system at home. I really, like, I'm so thankful for my girlfriend. She's like my best friend, and she's like the only way that I feel like grounded to reality sometimes, because the internet's a big place and there's a lot of people, and sometimes you could kind of forget what's important.
Absolutely. That's great, man. This is all incredible. Thank you for sharing all of that. That's like, I feel like so cool to hear your story, and I think like listeners are going to be very inspired by your story. I know a lot of people look up to you and what you've done and what you've created. Over 1 million like subscribers. That's crazy. Like, what a incredible job you've done. And I think like bringing that into Fortnite now, like where we're in this world where everyone is creating content on Fortnite, everyone wants to create content on Fortnite, you are now one of the pillars, I would say, in this world. Recently recognized by Epic themselves, flew you out on like this chapter 4, like, and you guys went to a cabin. It was you, TG, and
Cypher.
The third? Cypher PK. Yeah.
Like that was really cool.
That's a big deal. And so I think like how cool to see how far you've come, where you're going. I'm so excited, and I'm sure you are too. But I also want to dive into where we're at, like in Fortnite, because like we are coming off of an incredible new chapter. It's been a big deal. There's a lot of things that came with this chapter that are very exciting. But I would say potentially season 2 could be even bigger, even better, even more exciting than a chapter reveal. So I want to dive into a few of those things and would love to hear your feedback on some of it as well. We had recently talked in the last podcast about some of the leaks. We went through Attack on Titan. We went through how we're going to get kind of like this like neon cyberpunk vibe type of thing. We like looked at some of the outfits. And so if you're listening to this podcast now, this is the spoiler section. This is where if you are terrified of hearing about the future, then maybe you should bounce. So nice to have you on the pod. We'll see you later.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler. Now is your time to leave. But yeah, so I wanted to first dive in. We got our first in-game thing. It was the Mega City is what it's being called, or Neo Tilted, or whatever. But there's a hashtag being thrown around that's going to be utilized called Fortnite Mega. Do we know if that is the confirmed name of season 2?
I was confused about that because initially, the code name was Radical.
Radical,
right?
And you made a video about this, right?
I did make a video about this, and so I was actually under the understanding that Radical was it. But at the same time, though, a lot of like literally like 99% of the time, Epic code name stuff, and it's like never the same name. And so I was kind of like prepared for it to be something totally different. I was actually kind of expecting it, but at the time I was like, oh, like Radical, like that's cool. That sounds like it would be something they do, you know? But Mega's also kind of a cool name. For them to drop a new city, like I said, like Mega does fit. And you know, like I wonder kind of what's going to be Mega. Like, is it going to be a Titan? Is it going to be a city, or is everything just going to be Mega? I don't know.
I think what's exciting about Mega for me is the name signifies large, massive, huge, big, expansive, right? Like, and so to me, we just got the Kid Leroy concert, and it had all of those futuristic creative assets that they added into the game.
Yeah.
And a bunch of futuristic stuff like cars and like cityscapes and all sorts of stuff. So I'm wondering if that was actually a sneak peek of some of what we might actually get cosmetically in the world of Fortnite. And I also think that we have talked about this a lot. Like, people love tilted towers. We have a tease that there could be a neo tilted thing. Yeah. But what if, just like how we have, you know, like a snow biome, what if we have a city biome? What if it is a massive, massive city?
Like the whole city is like a certain theme?
And there's Neo Tilted as a POI in the city biome. So concrete jungle type of vibe. I wonder if they could pull off something like that, and if we need to really read into the word mega a little bit more specifically. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
100%. I mean, the city is the titty.
The titty.
The
Definitely not coming to Fortnite.
Oh man, that's funny. The city is definitely going to be a thing. I do want to like disclaimer this, by the way. Like, I like most of the leaks that I like, or all the leaks. Like, I've actually theoretically never leaked anything myself. All my videos are from. Like, you could find this information on Twitter. I love the stories. I love the information. I'd rather give you a one-stop shop of everything. I'd love to show visuals, etc. So, like, the way that like I interact with leaks, like I have like a policy almost for how I work with leaks. So,
okay.
One, I've never been leaked anything by like an Epic Games employee. Like, my connection, I have a good relationship with some people who work at Epic, but I'm not very affiliated with Epic by any means to where, you know, I could go call someone up and talk to, hey, what's in the new chapter? And you'd be surprised how like there are other YouTubers that do have a closer relationship to Epic, especially with people with icon states, but Epic does not want anyone to really know about anything. And so, you know, if you're finding out stuff early, chances are it's from an Epic employee, but they're going to leakers and telling them that, and it's all anonymous. It's all like, you'll never know who the guy is. Funny story. I feel like this should be brought up, and we'll tie this back to season 2 because it's actually kind of relevant. One Epic employee actually leaked a bunch of stuff to a notable leaker in the gaming community. His name is Tom Henderson. He's like, nope, chapter 4 is not coming. It's going to be chapter 3, season 5. And there was like rumors on the grapevine that like I knew it was going to be a new chapter. I was like, there's just no way, like, this is it. Trust. Like, there was writing all over the wall. But this guy comes out and he's like, nope, it's not going to be chapter 4. And I was like, that's a little sus. Cause I made a video at that point being like, it's going to be chapter 4. And typically I kind of have some type of like source or something like that it's like, hey, like, this is it. Now, is that for like theories or mystery videos or anything like that? Like, no, like literally like all of my videos are like, I follow stuff in game. And also I think like I consider myself a storyteller. That's why I love the storyline so much. I love telling stories. It like my storyline videos are my darling. They're my favorite things to make because I don't want to look into the files or like literally anything like that to find like the dead giveaway. I love to connect things for myself. I love to see that vision. I love to get things wrong, because even if it's wrong, it's still really entertaining content. It's like, I love to speculate. I love to possibly talk about stuff. I don't want to always be right in my videos, because where's the fun in that? You know what I mean? Like, and it's not to say that I'm like willing to throw out a bunch of wrong stuff just because I think it makes an interesting video. But I don't know all the answers. I don't think anyone really knows all the answers to anything. And so
it's surely not the writers.
I think that like I said, is that you need a certain level of like just like willing like research. I will go find all the evidence I have. Like that's like the way our research process works. And you've helped us with storyline videos, so you know exactly kind of what goes into our thought process of like, let's find stories, let's find theories, let's find literally anything we can, put stuff together and create cool talking points and connect it and kind of have some sort of overarching end goal of where we want this video to go or whatever. But I think like, you know, like I said, like having someone like Epic or anything like that tell you, it's lame. It doesn't tell a good story. It's not good for my videos, you know? Like imagine if like, I don't want to like say a big spoiler about a TV show, but imagine like episode 1 of you know, like your favorite TV show. They're like, yeah, everyone dies 8 seasons from now or something like that. Right. You're like, well, that was a crappy story, you know? And so I feel like that'd be the same if I had a relationship with Epic like that, where, you know, they would tell me stuff or they would give me exclusive access. Like I want none of that. I want to have the exact same relationship with Epic that I have like or that they have with any other creator. Because I don't want special treatment. I don't want my audience thinking Epic's just telling him this, you know? And so that's what he's the big YouTuber and Epic's going to give him special treatment and that type of want none of that. You'll never see that. You'll never, you know, they send me the Naruto box and like the Kid Leroy X box. Shout out Epic for that. Really appreciate you. But that's like the extent of that. Looping this back to all the leaks and stuff like that though. Obviously, you know, a lot of the leakers will come out. I love covering the stories. I love being, you know, like I said, this goes back to the origin of Tommy of like, I love to teach people or tell someone something, you know, like when I posted my leaks video and I get to read the comments and everyone's like, oh my God, Attack on Titan is the collab. I watch the show all the time. Big fan of that, by the way. Seeing that response and seeing the excitement and building that hype in the community, like that is why I still do what I do every day. Like, I love it. Like, that is like my literal passion. I love, like I said, just sharing, interacting with the community, teaching people new stuff, telling them something they didn't know. Like, that is like to my core what I love. And so that was like why I made that video. And I try to be really good about leaks as well, because there is a good amount of people. Like I know Nick A30, for example, he watches a lot of my videos on stream. Nick, if you're watching this, love you, dude. But sometimes I would tune into the stream. I get like a message from one of my team members or a fan would tweet at me, hey, Nick's watching your video on stream right now. And I'm like, great. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to watch him watch it. It's really weird watching yourself watch or watching someone else watch yourself. You know what I mean? But I do it because I love the feedback. Like a lot of these people, they won't even realize that I'm watching or trying to get the feedback from them and stuff. And anytime I would even consider talking about a leak, Nick would pause or he'd click off or he'd do whatever. And it kind of clicked with me. I was like, man, like that's really interesting that he doesn't want to hear the leaks. But that's just genuinely because he wants this really organic reaction to it. And he wants to really have that specialness. And there's also an audience out there that just wants to know and be first or something like that. And there's so many different types of people have content preferences and stuff like that. So I've really tried to angle my leaks to be a little bit more generic, so that if you see it, it's not going to be like the whole surprise is ruined for you. I have one big regret when making videos. If you remember during the end of chapter 2, like one day before the end event, one of the foreign Fortnite accounts accidentally posted an advertisement for the end event on TikTok. It was a day early and it literally showed the island flipping. And I was like, oh my God, I know this is real. This is insane. And so I made a video like, oh, secrets and leaks about the new chapter or whatever. And I showed that moment in the thumbnail. Biggest regret, because I didn't realize that I was ruining the experience for so many people. Those
sure.
moments like that, oh my God, that's actually what's going to happen. End of the day, if you see it in a thumbnail and it's a generic thumbnail, it won't spoil it for you. But if you hit the gotcha moment in the thumbnail, like my audience is going to get recommended it regardless. And I'm going to inadvertently, I didn't mean to spoil it for you. I wanted to show people, hey, this is real. But I didn't realize that I spoiled it for so many people. And I felt so bad about that afterward. And a couple of people reached out, were like, dude, like, it's not the right thing to do. And it kind of clicked with me. I was like, dude, you're totally right. Like I made a mistake, and where most people would double down, oh, I don't care about that. The video got views, whatever. I changed my strategy around that. And so now I try to do like very generic, like, if you're going to see this, like, it's not going to be the gotcha moment. It's going to be something that is probably going to get right. Like if you watch Fortnite videos, you're going to get recommended this regardless. Right.
Right.
So if I'm not doing it, someone else will. Right.
Right.
But yeah, my policy kind of like follows like icon skins. I remember, I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to say this, but Ali A, great guy, by the way. Love that dude. He actually showed me his icon skin early, and I was like, oh, that's really, really cool and stuff like that.
That's cool.
Like, and I had a conversation with him, and I was like, yeah, because if you remember, it actually leaked a couple days before it announced or whatever.
Right.
And I was like, dude, I got to respect, man. Like, I won't cover your icon skin leak or whatever. Like, I want this to be special for you. This is your day. Right. This is your moment. And I'm definitely not going to be the one who kind of gets in the way with that. And I'll be the first to admit, like, have I, done the best job? Like, no, 100%. Like I do my best every single day, but I have 1,000 videos on my channel. So sometimes I misstep, sometimes I make the wrong direction. Sometimes I make the wrong decision. I'll totally acknowledge that. I'm definitely not perfect. And I think everyone here listening could kind of on a personal level just relate that none of us are perfect and we all make mistakes. It's just whether, you could kind of learn from that mistake and try not to make it again or whatever. But that's like my policy on leaks and stuff.
I like your perspective on it. And it shows that the only way that you can learn how to grow in that stuff is by making those mistakes. Mm-hmm. I think, that's the only way that we learn. Even on this podcast, I feel like we didn't spoiler tag much beforehand. And that I was like, oh, need to do that. You get the angry comments of like, whoa, what the hell? But yeah, it's fascinating to see the evolution of one's craft, like even in that regard. Yeah. 100%. In terms of the leaks, I'm curious of your thoughts on one in particular. First person mode, boys. It's coming, apparently.
Oh yeah.
And it is coming in season 2. What does that mean for the game? Are we getting our own, like, zero builds, builds, first person mode? Or is it like an integration, like a scope that you can pull in and out whenever you want? What do you guys think?
This one's actually going to be a pretty easy answer because Epic have already kind of told us. Like there was a setting that you could go activate, and I've included this in one of my videos. Of course, I'm going to show my YouTube channel if you're watching. Maybe go check it out or something. I don't know.
Check it out.
But the point being is that there is an option in your, you hit escape, tab, settings, whatever, and you could enable first person. There is multiple ways that they could go about doing it. Whether that's how they actually implement it or not is TBD. And no one knows. Like no one knows. Yeah. Leakers don't know. No one knows. But, there's been different ways that developers have implemented this feature in the past. If you go look at PUBG, they were one of the first people to kind of do the separate mode idea. Call of Duty recently started doing it. They added third person in Call of Duty, but there's also first person. Those are different modes. PUBG, same thing. I think that there is a exception somewhere where you could toggle between first and third person. I think if you're playing in third person, you'll always have an advantage over the person playing in first person because you can when you're like let's say for example you're going and hugging a wall, you could turn your camera like that and you could see beyond that wall, whereas the person that the guy in first person, he has to full peek the wall in order to see, right? So third person will always have an advantage over first person in my opinion. So I think that if Fortnite was smart and they were going to implement it, they don't necessarily have to do a third person only mode and first person only mode, and then maybe another game mode variant that has, you know, like toggle on and off, right? But I do think fundamentally, though, is that if, you know, one person can only play first person or something like that, and the other's on third, like that other person will have an advantage, and they're going to have to account for that decision. Because like I said, for example, if everyone could be in third person and you have the option to be in first, why would you willingly give yourself a disadvantage? It makes no sense.
Right.
And so that would be a bad game design decision, in my opinion.
Well, I think like the for me, this is connected to Fortnite Mega, because if there is like a biome that is city, my guess is first person mode would be really helpful in that. A lot of first person shooters have massive like megascapes where you have to kind of like duck in, look at corners, like, and be able to like have that fidelity and move back and forth between third and first. I think like this makes sense to have like a city vibe with first person that can be activated or unactivated based off of the scenario you're in. Because if you are in a close corridors, that's going to be really easy to be able to pull into first person mode and use it rather than like a third person SMG mode, right? So I'm curious of if that is part of the integration. It's like, hey, we're bringing in first person mode. The best place to try this out is probably in these types of environments. So that's my guess, is that those two are going to be more hand in hand and connected, because Epic, when they do these things, they usually take into consideration an environment. Like that's what we got with zero builds, right? We had zero builds, and it was like, when people played it was like, I don't know how to move anywhere. So they put those blimps in so that you can actually like have mobility and move around and get cover and high ground and stuff like that. They were really strategic in how they brought in zero builds. And I think they're going to be very strategic how they bring in first person mode. That's my take, I think. And hopefully we see that coming. But
you brought
I'm
something up that like kind of changed my mind about that. Like I said, I'm a very adaptive person, so I could have an opinion, and then like new information gets brought to light and I'll change it. I actually really like what you said, where it's like, because thinking about it now, if you can go into a building, right? And I hate going into like, let's say for example, tilted, because when you're like third person, it's kind of like you have like the roof that's kind of in your POV and it kind of gets in the way and stuff. So when you're in those close quarters, yeah, switching to first person, it is a lot more pixels for someone's head to get 200 pumped. You know what I mean? So you go into a building like this, if you're in third person, you have, you know, you're like all the way zoomed out. But if you're in first person, like you're really right there, and it's like the hitbox of the character theoretically does get bigger because of, you know, like I said, you're in first person, you're more up close with that, so it's easier to kind of shoot or kill something. So that's actually you know, at first I guess I was kind of against that, being like, wow, this would be a huge disadvantage. But I guess it's definitely a very situational mechanic. It definitely adds a layer to it. I'm interested to see how they roll it out.
Yeah, it'll be cool. PM, what are your thoughts on first person mode?
It's either going to be a completely groundbreaking feature to the game where, like you guys mentioned, it could be something that you toggle on and off in between fights. So like I can imagine you're, you know, in third person mode when you're rotating, but if you're in a box fight, you can kind of switch to first person to get into a, you know, clearer view. Yeah. That'd be super cool. Or it'll be the biggest like, oh, okay, I guess that's in the game now, where you simply just go into a setting and turn it on and no one ever does it. So it's good. It's either going to be this extreme good thing for the game or something that everyone just forgets about after 1 week.
I think it's also really for creative.
Yeah,
like,
and I think it's used for other things outside of this game. Yeah. I can't see anyone who loves builds doing this, because you will just get motion sick. Like I'm sure Fortnite would get sued for how often kids would be throwing up based off that kind of view. But I do think no builds would be super cool. I don't really know how they're going to implement it. I just hope it's worth it. I hope all this hype for years is worth it. So,
well, but I think like, so we have to think about it differently, right? Like, why is there hype? Is because Fortnite has taken out every type of competition in its field. The only competition that it hasn't taken out is first person shooters, because it isn't one. Now, my question is, if Fortnite wants to enter the first person space, they're going to go after those games.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? You either are able to create the exact same game experience with the same mechanics in creative, or you build out the experience to make sense for somebody who loves playing Warzone or whatever, like Call of Duty. How do you get them to play the game? Well, we've got that same experience for you here, and I think like that is a huge deal in the sense of drawing people that are in specific audiences towards your own. And so if they're going after third person, I'm guessing they're going to go hard. And that's why I think Fortnite Mega is more than just Neo tilted. I think it's going to be a lot more expansive than we're giving it credit for.
Can I offer an opposing viewpoint? Because I think
let's go for
that
it.
this is something that, being like I said, I love Fortnite, play it all the time, but I play a lot of other games also. And one point that you brought up that I actually disagree with is that Fortnite has essentially stomped out all of its competition. I think Fortnite is trying to enter a different level. So when you think about that, right, you're like, dude, like it's not like Apex, nowhere near as big as Fortnite. Warzone, like it's still up there, but not quite. And that's really where it needs to kind of head to, is to get that first person. And there I would totally agree. Like, yeah, like they have done a good job at remaining more popular than those types of platforms. Or games, sorry. But what Fortnite's long-term goal is, or it should be, because if they're not, they are on the path to lose, is for them to become the ultimate platform game. That's where you go from, let's say, for example, a 10 or $15 billion valuation to being $500 billion, right? Or maybe that might be a little excessive, like 100 billion or something like that, right? Like Roblox, publicly traded company, looking at like 70 billion market cap. Minecraft, obviously owned by Microsoft. I'm sure it's very valuable, right? I don't know how much Notch got paid for it back in the day, but I'm sure Minecraft generates a lot of revenue.
Yeah.
Fortnite's real competition is Roblox and Minecraft. And Fortnite is getting its butt kicked. It is losing, absolutely, and it's losing bad. And I don't think enough people are talking about this, because Battle Royale as a trend is dying out. And year after year, being a content creator, looking at the daily active users or monthly active users, it's dying. And no one is denying that. And I think no matter how they compete with Warzone, or no matter how they compete with Apex, first person is one step of a very long staircase that Epic is trying to build.
100%.
If you go like Fortnite is finally pushing out first person, but if you go look at Roblox or Minecraft or anything like you've been able to do this for years. Like Epic was really, really slow to enable this feature, probably because they never wanted to. And I hope that Epic finally came to the realization that if they want to compete long term and they want to win the race for the platform game, that's the game that they're really playing right now, is to become the platform game. Yep. They need to democratize their game a little bit more, and they need to hand over the steering wheel to user-generated content, fans, devs, etc. Now, do I think that they need to hand over like the entire steering wheel? No, because if Epic has learned anything dealing with creative, is that people at the easiest way, they will abuse it, they will take advantage of it, they will game the system. And you see it all the time with creative maps promising like XP for using creator codes, etc. So they're very well like aware of the market that they're trying to hit, and where Fortnite needs to go to kind of remain in a good place. Because if they don't do these things, Roblox and Minecraft, like I don't know if you've seen this one clip, and I posted it on my Twitter. At Tommy, by the way, you could see this insane clip of Roblox, and it literally, the graphics, the gunplay, the designs, everything looks just as good as Call of Duty. It is in first person. If you were to tell someone this game and you were to make them guess it, like, so we got to pull this clip up or something like that.
Jared,
no one would say Roblox.
I have not seen it
yet. You need to see it.
I'm gonna send this to you so you can see it live reaction. Go ahead and keep talking.
Yeah. Fortnite devs are human beings, and there's a limited amount of people that are in Cary, North Carolina, that are working on Battle Royale and creative and the state of the game in general. Roblox has hundreds of thousands of people. Minecraft has hundreds of thousands of people who are developers for their own game in this platform, and they could tailor their game experience around the community that they're trying to build. And Roblox, like I said, they're kicking Fortnite's butt. Fortnite is so behind. If they don't figure their stuff out this year, they'll be killed off. Like it'll still be a game, it'll still be popular, but the best platform games already have these insanely talented people who are building games within games. Yeah. And Fortnite isn't there. Creative isn't there. And UEFN, which is one of the biggest announcements for season 2, I haven't had a lot of experience with UEFN, right? For what that is, obviously the Creative 2.0 is the code name, right? Mm-hmm. UEFN, Unreal Engine Fortnite, obviously.
We've talked a lot about it on the pod, like how it's coming, how it's the future, how there's a lot banking on it, a lot of pressure for it to be big because of everything we're talking about right now.
Here's why it's going to flop when it comes out. There's
our title, by the way. There's our title. Yeah. Here's why you.
Well, don't do that. Because listen. Like I said, I'm trying to go back out to Oregon, guys. Okay, I don't want them to hate me. But here's why it will not do well initially. I think that Epic is they're very careful with their brand. They have had so many people ready to slander them and do whatever. And losing control of their machine allows other people to, like I said, abuse it. And therefore, when they lose that control, anything could happen. And like I said, the mainstream media is ready to shred Fortnite because it's a popular keyword and they know they're going to get the clicks. And this has happened over and over again. They constantly have PR crises. And I think this has essentially trained a lot of people at Epic to be very scared to give control to their own people building games within Fortnite. And most of the games in Fortnite right now, end of the day, it's Fortnite, right? Yeah. Like that's it. Like the LTMs that we're getting, the creative maps that I've played, the Kid Leroy concert, all of it. It's still very much Fortnite, and it needs to get to the point where the people creating these games are able to do more than just these basic things. And I think Creative 2.0, you could have a crazy map, you would have all types of custom, rules and whatever else, but they need to find a way for developers to capitalize on trends within games. They need to capitalize on all these different types of things, and there is not enough tools for developers to do that. Another thing, like I said, that I want to say why Creative 2.0 will not be successful until Epic changes their mindset is that Epic is horrible at incentivizing their creators. Probably, not like I was about to say probably one of the worst companies, but they are better than a lot. Like the supporter creator system was ingenious from them. They were one of the first people to do it, and I will give credit where credit is due. But no developer team is going to survive off 5% of skin sales from a company. And Minecraft and Roblox, if you go look at some of these operations, these game dev teams are getting tens of millions of dollars in investment money from VCs. They want their games to be the most popular, and Epic is giving virtually zero incentive to developer teams to stimulate hiring or to turn their dev teams into businesses, so they could therefore, like I said, expand into more developers, creating more ambitious projects, doing more, pushing boundaries. And Epic has done a pretty mediocre job this past year, in my opinion, of pushing boundaries like they've done in the previous years. I think that they have a lot going on that they're building towards, and it's going to get there. I hope, at least. Because I'm very confident in Epic. I think they're very talented and smart individuals. And I think that they understand the bigger picture as I'm trying to explain it right now. Yeah. But Fortnite, they were in the headlines all the time, oh, here's a concert, here's this, here's a live event. Like they were literally reinventing the wheel like year after year. And then Fracture hits, and this is supposed to be their reinvent the wheel moment. And it was like one of the worst received live events of all time.
Thank you.
And so this was their way to kind of, flex their muscles to the audience. Hey, this was created with Creative 2.0. But if anything, they set a really, really bad standard with that, because I just don't think it was as fleshed out and tested as it could have been, right? Like anyone could have told you about the magic of what makes a live event, right? And there's a variety of other things. I had a tweet about this the other day about what if I were a developer at Epic, what I would do. And now, granted, my solutions to what can maybe make the game go alive again, it's not even dead to begin with. or just improve the battle royale experience. Like, a lot of people might disagree with my opinions, and that's totally okay. Like, this is just my perspective from what I've heard in the grapevine. And I talk to a lot of these UGC dev teams and that type of stuff. Right now, the only incentivization that any developer team on Fortnite really has is to do a brand integration with like Doritos or something like that, Coke or something like that, right?
Yep.
Like, they want, a mapping creative. And like, I'm going to be real, guys. Like no one wants to go into the Doritos map and go play around every single day for a while, right? And these dev teams, I'm going to keep it a stack, man. Like, outside of them just getting it on their resume, like, they're doing this for cold, hard cash. So Epic is literally filling their most talented people. They need money to pay their team members and to grow and to scale. And you're not going to get that off 5% creator code. So the way that it's going to work is that you're going to go sell out and you're going to go work on, a brand integration,
body spray.
Which in my opinion, I'm not even really sure how well these types of things perform. Like, even if you go play and stuff like that, like I'm not sold. I'll never go check any of them out. No offense to any of the creative teams doing it, by the way. I think that, like, you got to do what you got to do. And I understand your situation, and I'm rooting for you, because the real strategy here is for Epic to open up the creator economy to all, and for to long-term incentivize people to build their own games on this platform. And until the tools are given to these creators and these creative teams and these devs and stuff like that, and they open that floodgate, allowing people to take what Fortnite has built as a base layer and build on top of it, right? It's not going to be successful.
I 100% agree. And I would say, like, we're getting close to the tail end of the podcast, so we're going to have to eventually loop us back. But this is great material. I think that if they unlock that, we're like, the benefits far outweigh, like the bad things. However, there are a lot of bad things. We don't need to get into that. But Donald Mustard, somebody who, Mustard Plays, Donald's brother, he does a lot of map making and stuff. And he's all about, like, man, we got to figure out a way to fix like using the support a creator button. I don't know if you've ever gone to any of these maps, but even in the ones that they like Fortnite shoves in your face to do, like, the new Witcher or whatever, they have these supported creators, like almost like you have to press the button in order just to go. Like, they're so desperate to get your attention, because it's not based off of views. It's not like YouTube, right? Like YouTube, it's like if more people are watching and more people are there and
they're watching longer game, like, if you make great videos, people will stay. You get paid more money. Whereas Epic's incentivization system is, here's a button right at the beginning of the map that you log in, and I'm going to try to trick you into clicking this button. So therefore, maybe when you do buy skins, I'll get 5% of that. And that's how they incentivize their creators. It's absurd. It's the worst system ever designed. It's really
poor. But it was their first system, right?
Yeah, it was.
And so I guess that's my point is, I hope, this is me hoping, this isn't maybe what will happen. I hope that the future of Fortnite is what we're talking about. They're just building the infrastructure to make that eventually a thing.
I think that's what the case too.
Yeah, I hope that what they're doing is trying to do whatever that is better than Roblox does it, better than, Minecraft does it. And my hope is that everyone benefits from it. It's just in order to take that on, it's a lot of resources, a lot of work. And that's why we've seen the delay. And I know Tim Sweeney believes in that. He wants us to be able to, like, I'm going to design a Squatingdog shirt that somebody can buy in Fortnite and support me, but also wear inside the video game, inside this world. So I really hope that is the future of Fortnite. And I'm very excited for that, if they can pull it off, right? If they can pull it off. Our last leak, but I feel like we're running out of time, is that we might get wall riding and scrambling, which is the last, like,
I feel like that's the wrong word. Item. I know you wrote that down because I said it, but it's like wall rambling or hill rambling or something like that. I could pull up a script right now, but it's something like that. You can go up, the really annoying slidey hills. You can climb up them now.
You can climb up those babies. And wall riding, which would be kind of cool. Like,
and there's wall kicking too. So while you're running, you'll kick it,
like Matrix style, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That's cool. I'll give credit where credit's due, Epic. I'll always criticize you, but I'll let you know when you're doing a good job.
Wait, okay, cool. So So these are the sections where
like
previously before you would jump up and you would just like fall down.
You'd slide. Now you can kind of like all fours it, like I'm gonna, but slowly get up it type of thing.
I cannot wait.
Kind of Spider-Man it a little.
Yeah,
cannot wait.
I have no idea how it's going to work. It could be like an augment of some kind, but
let's take into the previous season's bugs for that 3-week period, and let's throw another mechanic that's going to cause even more. That's going to be fantastic. I cannot wait for the 2 weeks of me not being able to reload my gun.
Yeah,
me not being able to get my POV back to normal, and I can't wait for all of that. Just simply so for the one time that I could go like this up a mountain, it actually works. That's going to be fantastic.
One feature I'm excited about next season is mantling. Remember, like that was like one of the big ones of the new season. Broke everything, and then they basically were like, okay, well, we're gonna just like secretly delete this and never bring it back. Like they did the same thing in Chapter 2, Season 5 when it was like sand tunneling, right?
Yeah.
Within like 2 days, the whole thing's busted the game, and they're like, well, we didn't see that one coming, and they couldn't fix it, so they just left it like that for the entire season. The whole like the staple feature just poof.
Yeah.
Yep. I feel like they come up with really great ideas, and then they're like, oh shoot, it's not ready yet. Let's bring it back in Chrome, or let's bring it back in this. But I mean, my least favorite is the one where you just like vault over. I died multiple times to flying across the map for no reason. It's like cool, great. So hopefully, I mean, wall riding, scrambling. Hopefully these things, whatever we're calling it, hopefully that these things are a little bit more polished for the season,
or not, and they can make it in a top 10 glitches video. Either way, I'm winning. You know,
content.
All right, well, that's it for today's podcast. This was a lot of fun chatting with you, man. Thank you so much for telling your story, and thanks you so much for
having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Is there any final words or final things you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Subscribe to Squatingdog on YouTube, please. You're right here on my monitor. Hopefully, you're right there, or else over there.
Point the other way.
Up
point
or
like
down. I don't
down
know.
that way. There you go.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. YouTube for me has been a struggle bus. So hearing your I feel like I live vicariously through you. Like, wow.
Well, just don't give up, man. Like I said, and like I said, is that if you gain that little bit of traction, just go as hard as you can and study, take inspiration from other people. I certainly do. And seriously, if you put your mind to something and you really are like, I will accomplish this. I am such a firm believer that no matter how it turns out, no matter the journey it takes you to get there, like you will get there if you just never give up, or else your journey just hasn't ended. And that's my like Top 5 Gaming and T5G and all of this. This is one step for me in my life. And you know, I think in the next 10 or 20 years, I want to be on bigger, more ambitious projects. And I love Top 5 Gaming and all that type of stuff. But like I said, I think that we're all of us have greatness inside of us. And it's really just about how bad do you want to realize your full potential as to how far you could push yourself, you know?
That's a great way to end the podcast.
Yes.
that was very inspirational. I appreciate you, man. Tavi, you're amazing. We're so grateful to have you on this. Thank you to our listeners. I hope you guys had a blast listening. Feel free to connect with us on Twitter at Unvaulted Pod, the Squatingdog, it's PM, or Tommy, just straight up. Like, what a flex. Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye, nerds.